In this video, I'm going to demonstrate a new feature in Analysis Notebooks that allows you to override the application units for specific notebooks. This can be very useful when you receive prints with different units and you want to create final QA notebooks to evaluate against spec. Setting notebook-specific units allows you to evaluate and report results in the same units as the print without making any changes to the application configuration. So for example, let's say your shop typically receives prints with specs in units of fringes. However, you get a new job for a higher precision part, and the final spec is in units of nanometers. So if your shop typically works in units of fringes, it would make sense to have the application configured to use fringes as the default optical metrology unit, like I have here. And you might have a notebook like this that evaluates the PV error of the part. You can see that I have a pass-fail tool configured with the PV spec set to 1 fringe. So now, let's say I have another job where the spec is 10 nanometers RMS. So I'll go ahead and I'll open another instance of this notebook and use it as my starting point. So in previous versions of software, we'd have to modify the application-wide units to be in nanometers to report the results in nanometers. So if I went ahead and did that, I could make that change. And then I could go ahead and set my spec to 10 nanometers RMS. However, this is now much easier. So I can go back and I can keep the application-wide units set to fringes. I can go back to my notebook and now just change the notebook-specific units to nanometers. So to do that, I'm going to click the notebook button and select notebook units. So now I can choose a unit type that I want to override the units for, and then set my preferred unit for that unit type. So I'm going to go ahead and select optical metrology as the unit type and set my units to nanometers. Now if I load in a measurement, you can see that all the optical metrology values for this notebook are set to nanometers. If I switch back to the original version of the notebook, you see that it is continuing to use the global application-wide units of fringes. In addition to setting notebook-wide units, it is also possible to set the unit type for a specific widget. So to do that, you just right-click any widget, select Units, and then set the unit type that you'd like to override the notebook or application settings for, and set the desired unit. So as always, please reach out to our applications engineering team with any questions related to this feature.